What's up, guys? Welcome once again to the Save Continue podcast, where every other week we get together and talk about video games and shit. My name is Ryan Robinson. With me, as always, is Tom Shelby.
Hi guys.
Shanae's not here this week. She's got nose diarrhea,
Yeah.
so she couldn't make it. But anyway, Tom, what's been up? What have
Yeah.
you been playing?
What have I been playing? I've been playing a lot this past couple weeks. Not like many things, but
A lot of the things you have been playing.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Twisted Metal Black.
I saw that.
Got all the trophies for that bitch. Let me tell you something. All right, Sony's got this weird thing where it's like it used to be, like back on PS3,
Sure.
used to be if a game cost under a certain amount,
Yeah.
we'll only give it a certain set of trophies, you know?
Yeah.
And then they stopped doing that. So now sometimes you'll get a $10 game. It still has a platinum in it, you know?
Sure.
Well, it's a fucking Sony game, you know? It's a Sony-owned game
Give us
and
the
like no
platinum.
platinum. And like they to get all the trophies in that thing, like it's a bitch.
Yeah.
You know? Like Twisted Metal Black is probably the hardest Twisted Metal.
Yeah,
You know?
and it's kind of long.
Well, okay, so I cheated.
Okay.
So like
Did you
the
do
cheats
Did you do the one
cheats
the
still
one hit
work.
kill cheat?
Yeah, that's the so I played through it like normal. Who did I use? Brimstone, you know.
Good choice.
And then I was like, well, to get these trophies, I got to beat it with every fucking person.
Right.
So I just did the one hit kill to beat it with everybody, you
Yeah.
know. But everything else I did legit, like the fucking endurance and all the challenge mode and all that, and like that shit's a real big bitch,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
No platinum, and I don't think any of their PS2 games have platinums.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I'd have to go back and look at the Jack games.
Yeah.
Because they.
Now, that said, that game has aged very well, I
Sure.
think. Um,
It's still the best one in my opinion. It's the best. It's the best one.
you know, it's hard because like I grew up with Twisted Metal 2,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So like that's the one I have the most, fond memories of.
Sure.
And I remember when you got Black when we were kids and
Man,
you
that
got Black.
was so
I remember that, you
badass,
know.
man. See,
But
that
like
that was a perfect game for a high school kid like me who loved new metal as much as I did.
and almost no metal in the game
Sure.
whatsoever.
But
It's
it's got
all
a-
orchestrated music.
But it's
you
got a
know?
very new metal
But
aesthetic
yes.
to it.
Sure, sure. But like, I love 2 and like 3 and 4, I think most people agree aren't very good.
Yeah.
Black's a lot of fun. I love Head On. Like Head On feels like a direct sequel to 2.
Right.
Um and the PS2 version of that's fantastic. I don't know why that's not on the
So-
fucking PlayStation Store.
So what's
Put
the
Head
deal,
On there.
What's the deal with Head On? Because I felt like my memory tells me that Head On is the version of Black that just has online.
That's not so. So Head On was originally a PSP exclusive game that eventually got ported to PS2, but it's got the same like look and feel of like the first 2 Twisted Metal games, where
I
it's a
see.
bit more comic booky. Yeah, the stories are still fucked up and shit, and
Yeah.
Calypso's still an asshole and all that. But like Twisted Metal Black, I think is the only M-rated one.
Okay.
It's just it feels like a successor to that, and like characters specifically that I liked in 2 that were not in Black are in Head On, you know.
Right.
So I would like them to bring that to PlayStation, but like they haven't added any new PS2 games in like
A
forever.
long time, right?
Yeah.
Like
Even games like that, like that's their game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's theirs.
Yeah.
Also that's got Twisted Metal Lost on it, which is like the unfinished Black sequel.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
So who is your go-to Twisted Metal Black character? Who is your favorite?
I like Brimstone a lot.
Yeah.
I like any of like the mid, I guess you would call them like middle of the road cars,
Sure.
right? Like, I'm really bad with like, who's the Mr. Grimm? I'm terrible with Mr. Grimm. I think he's the coolest because he's a skeleton on a motorcycle.
Sure.
But I'm terrible with him, you know?
Well, in Black, he's a scarred Vietnam vet who's a cannibal.
Yeah, with it. Well, no, he's got his friend's skull
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like it's and I'm really bad with the super heavy guys, you know?
Yeah.
Like Sweet Tooth is such a cool thing,
Yeah.
right?
In
Like
terms of
driving around with him in the mech form,
yeah.
and like his special is probably the best one in the fucking game,
It's got the
you
most like
know?
it's the most complex looking, I'd say.
Yeah, but his special is great, you
Yeah.
know?
Did you
But
ever play 2012?
I played 2012. I think I like it more than most people do. I have problems with it,
Sure.
you know, but I did like it though.
Yeah. Well, I think my
Yeah.
main problem with it, and I don't know if this is the same problem everyone else has with it, but I feel like a lot of Twisted Metal is like I feel like the cars are just as much a character as the drivers,
Right?
and I think that when you kind of like strip that down, it kind of
When
diminishes
you
them.
only have three drivers.
You have three drivers and they can drive
Yeah.
any car. It just kind of like distills it in
Yeah,
a
and I
way.
get it, right? Like that game started as like a cheap PSN game.
Right.
And after Sony saw it, they're like, "No, we're going to make it full price 60, you know. It was going to be multiplayer only as a matter of fact."
Hmm.
Um but like you hear Jaffe talk about the series and he talks about it like it's a fighting game. Like
Yeah.
it was meant to be more of a fighting game than anything else.
Yeah.
Uh you know, I don't fully agree with that, but you know, I don't know. Yeah, I do agree. Like that was my biggest disappointment was not having more characters.
Yeah.
You know, the cars are there, but you want the characters so you can get all the stupid cutscenes.
Sure.
Because what is Twisted Metal without the stupid
Well,
cutscenes?
like what's funny is that I know that in for the first Twisted Metal, they had actually filmed live action cutscenes that they later
Yeah,
like removed.
yeah,
And
dude. All of that is on the PS2 version of Head On.
okay,
You get all of those movies.
okay,
You get the Twisted Metal Lost, which is like the black sequel that never came out. You get this weird gallery thing where you're like controlling Sweet Tooth on foot because originally Black was supposed to have like on foot sections.
okay,
Real weird shit.
okay.
Yeah.
Um, I remember one time back when we were living together, we did watch all of the Twisted Metal 2012 cutscenes together. Mr. Grimm's being the most ridiculous, but which is saying a lot in a world like Twisted Metal,
Oh yeah.
but
Yeah.
Mr. Grimm's was like arguably the most ridiculous, and like they also made Mr. Grimm the most lame. Uh, but I don't know. I remember I have fond memories of Twisted Metal 2 as well. It's also the first game that I got with my PS1.
It's I think that and Cool Borders 2
Yeah.
were like my first PS1 games.
Yeah, and it's a great game. You know, I
Yeah.
think that like if we're talking about like the games in the series that I feel most kind of encapsulated what thematically Twisted Metal is, I think 2 and Black did it the best.
Oh, for sure.
Because I think that 3 and 4 like veered a little too far into like the slapstick comedy
Yeah, well, and it
territory.
was 989, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that they really I don't want to say they didn't know what they were doing. There are some people that love 4,
Yeah.
right? I'm not one of those people.
Sure. Which like I do remember also that was like because when Twisted Metal came out, then that was like the kind of like I don't want to say like the dawn of car combat because we'd had car combat before that, but I think Twisted Metal was like when it came out the most popular one, like the most.
But like
well-known one.
between Twisted Metal and Vigilante 8, I don't have another car combat series that I think comes anywhere close to those, you
Sure.
know? Unless it's something different, right? Like Road Rash, yeah, there's car combat, but it's not the same thing. It's
Yeah,
completely different kind of game.
I wouldn't even
you know?
really consider it car combat, honestly.
Uh,
like
You know, Wreckfest, like again, it's not the same,
Sure.
you know?
Sure.
What was the other one? The big one.
Burnout.
Fuck. No, not Burnout.
Uh,
Carmageddon.
Carmageddon.
Like the
That's what it
Carmageddon
was.
series?
That's what it was. Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not. It's not the same. And Jaffe explained it so well back in the day when he was doing interviews for 2 and for Black after that, and that like his whole thing is like cars don't work like this, you know? Like we made the game control in a way that does not make sense for cars to control.
Right.
In that you can turn while you're standing still.
Yeah.
You know, your cars should automatically flip over, which was a big problem with 3.
Yeah.
You know, things like that. Which is why every time they try to put racing in Twisted Metal, it fucking sucks. You know.
Yeah. Uh,
But
but I think that I like sometimes I think about like, man, I would really like it for Twisted Metal to come back. Because I think that honestly, 2012 had like the right idea, like in a lot of different ways.
yeah,
But I think that there are some. I think that the biggest problem with 2012 is that it tried to reinvent the series in a way that kind of uh, like stepped back from what the identity of that series had been,
yeah.
and I think it's kind of worse for it. But
And I think honestly, like Jaffe owes a lot of his career, and that franchise owes a lot to Sony. Clearly, you know. But like, I feel like every time Jaffe has a flop, you can almost blame them for it. You know, it's always some like last minute call
yeah,
by marketing or by PR or by whoever that just like fucks them over. You
yeah,
know, like if 2012 had come out and was what it was originally intended to be, which is like a $10 to $15 online only PSN game, I think it would have been received much, much better
sure,
than a full price,
yeah.
new Twisted Metal.
Yeah. What was the deal with? Because I know that Drawn to Death didn't do so well either.
Yeah, Drawn to Death, I don't know. I think Drawn to Death was a couple of things. One, there were a lot of that kind of game at the time, or at least games that seemed like that kind of game,
Right.
right?
Right.
Where it's like an arena thing with like classes or hero based sort of bullshit going on.
Yeah.
I also think that like there were a lot of journalists shitting on that game before it came out, like
Right.
before they'd even played it,
Right.
just because of who David Jaffe is as a person. Uh, so I don't think that helped him either.
So what's the deal with that then? Because I know David Jaffe's body of work, but I don't
Yeah.
know I guess I
He's
could
just very brash.
okay.
Like I've made the joke that fuck, who's the mean chef guy?
Gordon Ramsay.
Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
He's the Gordon Ramsay of the PlayStation studios. Like he's very much that type of personality.
Right.
He's not the easiest guy to get along with from what I've seen and
Sure.
am told. But like people were hard on that game before there was anything of that game to be hard on.
Right.
Like yeah. And I don't think it was a fantastic game. I think it was pretty fun
So
for what
you
it
think
was,
so you think
but
that game got like you think that game was criticized more harshly than it should have been?
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, um, it's one of those things. Like I almost feel like it would do better if it came out now, because back then we were getting all these games that like spoon fed you their stories.
Sure.
You know, watch these cutscenes and you're going to understand what's going on. And Drawn to Death was very much like Drawn to Death is like Notebook, right? Like a kid's
Yeah,
notebook and
right,
all
right,
that
right.
shit.
That was
And
the
like
interesting aspect of it to me. Like that was
right.
intriguing to me.
So like you look in the skybox and the skybox is literally just notebook paper lines,
Right. Right.
And like that's where most of your story is, you
Okay.
know? And people like weren't very receptive to that sort of storytelling just a few years ago even. I
Sure.
think that, you know, recent releases have really changed people's opinions on how story can be presented in a video game.
Right. Well,
But
like I just think that I think that's a weird like and again, I haven't personally haven't
then like who the fuck cares what the story is?
yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well,
Like
like
yeah,
you,
it's a sad story. Like that Drawn to Death is about like abuse and neglect
sure.
and shit, right? Like
Okay.
it's a sad story, but like I don't go into Twisted Metal being like this story better be fucking good, you know?
Well, like at
Like
a certain
who the
point,
fuck cares?
I don't know. I think at a certain point, especially I think that my kind of my viewpoint of and I think that this might have also something to do with how old I was when I played it,
Yeah.
but my opinion of like what I wanted out of a Twisted Metal story kind of changed around the time Black came out, just because of the way that they were telling that story, the stories of these characters at that point, as opposed to like we get the bio and the character select screen, and then we go through the game, and then they get a cutscene at the end that kind of like gives us everything about who that character is.
Right.
And I think that giving like when Black gave us more cutscenes, like they gave us a beginning, middle, and
During the
end.
loading screens, right?
Yeah,
Give you
and
like four
right,
little snippets.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that sort of like fleshed out like what the personalities of the characters were,
Yeah.
And so that kind of changed my perception of like, okay, well, I guess is this what I can expect from Twisted Metal going forward? But what I was gonna say was that like the whole looking in the skybox for the story thing was drawn to death.
Right.
Like I feel like that's a weird criticism in a world where storytelling like Dark Souls exists.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. Great point.
You know, because it's just like the Dark Souls is like classically praised for the way that it tells its story by letting you piece everything together,
Yeah,
which is
and
fine.
so are many of other games, but like they come from people that like gamers and journalists consider to be auteurs, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like Miyazaki or like Yoko Taro or whoever, right? Like,
Sure.
oh yeah, I'm gonna read a story, a 4-part story about each and every weapon in this video game,
Yeah.
Like, and I love that stuff, and I know you do too, but
Yeah.
like, I don't need that in every fucking game,
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think that's like a means of, and I don't want to make presumptions about the motivation behind telling your story that way. But I think that sort of thing definitely lends itself to subsequent playthroughs of the game to get more of the story and
Yeah.
like, and I don't want to I'm hesitant to use the term pad out, but I mean it certainly can do that, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't start understanding the story of, I'm gonna say it again, I'm gonna understand the story of Dark Souls until like the third time I played it, and
Yeah.
even still I didn't have everything, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of franchises that I like that like I only understand so well because like I researched them outside of the game,
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, a lot of Twisted Metal.
Sure.
Love it.
Sure.
Play it.
Sure.
And then so I bought DMC5 at launch
Yeah.
and like played very little of it.
It's funny you say that because I just heard Devil Trigger today.
Okay, yeah. And yeah, over the last couple of days, I've just been steamrolling through it. So I'm on my second playthrough right now.
Yeah.
And like, goddamn, if you like character action games, holy shit.
So
It's insane. It's crazy how complex that game is.
So I'm very much someone who, like, regardless of how dumb the game is, I need
Yeah.
context for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So is this like, this is picking up from where 4 left off?
Okay, so Capcom at some point, it was 3-1-2-4, and I think now it's 3-1-4-2, or the other way around. The placement of 2 got changed.
Okay.
No one gives a fuck, and nothing important happens in 2.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So you can just look at it as 3-1-4-5.
Right. Okay.
So yes, it's after 4.
Okay.
Um,
So you spent more time with it. How, like, what are your thoughts on that?
It's fucking amazing, man. Like,
Yeah.
as much as I've been waiting, for a long while now for Bayonetta 3, and I feel like we're never going to hear anything else about it. Like, I feel like it's just never going to happen at this point.
Right.
Um, and for a long time, I'm like, yeah, Bayonetta's where it's at. I like Devil May Cry, but like, my love is for Bayonetta,
Sure.
But like, you can't argue with it. Like, this is far deeper. It's
Sure.
far deeper, And if that's what you're into this kind of game for, right?
Right.
I like these games because to me they're single player fighting games is what they are.
Basically.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
learning new combos and all that, and like, I love the first 2 Bayonetta games, but like 2 was disappointing to me. 1 because it's a little bit easier, 2 because it is basically just more 1.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, like,
like-
is it so do they not add anything mechanically to the game, or?
Not really. I mean, yeah, there are some different weapons and stuff that change things up a bit, but like, it's as simple as that,
Right. Right.
With Nier Automata, which was also developed by Platinum, they very much tried to give it a character action style of gameplay. And while I do think it's much deeper than most games in that genre, as far as the combat goes,
Sure.
as far as the character action game goes, it's not as deep as Bayonetta. It's still
Right.
quite deep, but like, more than God of War, the early God of Wars.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, but like, this is fucking crazy, man. Like, the shit you can do in this game and the options that it gives you for creativity is just it's nuts. It's
Is
nuts.
it got like a really kind of free flowing combo system?
So like the characters you know, right? Like Nero and Dante,
Right.
they play similarly to how they have in the past, but things have changed, right? So like Nero, at least when early on, you don't have the Devil Bringer anymore. You get these Devil Breakers, right?
Hmm.
So Nero, at least in DMC4, kind of felt like a little bit watered down Dante, but that was made up for the fact that you have the Devil Bringer. Uh, here it's the same thing. He's got the one sword, he's got the one gun, but now he's got these Devil Breakers that you can switch out, and they all do different shit, you know? But like you lose them, right? If you get hit while you're using it, it's gone. Or you can do like a get out of jail free and it's gone. Or you can do like a super special move with it and it's gone.
Okay. Is it
And you
like
have
a
like this,
is it like a meter
you've got
that
like
fills
a
up?
magazine of them.
Oh,
No,
okay.
no, no.
Okay.
You've got like a magazine of them.
Okay.
And you can collect them as the level goes on. You can buy them in shops and stuff like that.
Okay.
But they're a lot of fun. And then V, the new character, uh, it's all about just spacing,
Sure.
spatial awareness. You still have a melee attached to triangle, like we have since the first Devil May Cry. You
Right.
still have a gun attached to square, like we have since the first Devil May Cry.
Right.
But they're separate from your person.
Right. Because he reads poetry and like monsters happen. Is that his deal?
He reads poetry to like refill Devil Trigger faster,
I see.
you know? But like they can't like they hurt the enemies, but they can't finish the enemy. So like you have to get in close to finish the enemy off, you
Okay.
know. Um Still very deep, very cool the things you can do with that.
Yeah.
And then Dante is just like so in Devil May Cry 3 they give Dante the four
The four
styles,
yeah.
right? And then there's two extra or whatever.
Right.
And then in 4 they let you switch between those on the fly, you know?
Yeah.
Now in 5, you're switching between those on the fly while also switching between just a shit ton of different weapons on the fly. And having almost like two different sorts of devil triggers. So like the amount that you can do with Dante, I don't know that there's a character action game that allows you to do more with its
Right.
character, you know?
Right.
Like you can do a lot with Raiden in
Yeah.
Metal Gear, but like
Yeah.
not like that, man. It's fucking nuts.
Well,
And like the story is pretty good. Like it's not fantastic.
I mean,
No
pretty
Devil May
good
Cry stories are fantastic.
pretty good
but,
for
like,
Devil May Cry anyway.
Yeah, but like there's some revelations and like like
Yeah.
it's pretty good. Yeah.
So I remember I went through Devil May Cry 3 like God, when did that game come out? I want to say like maybe 15 years ago or however long that was.
Yeah.
I think that game I love that game. I love the different styles. I loved how like the different style, like all the different styles like made it it was like every time you change styles, it was like you had to relearn how to use the weapon in that style. And it was like really cool.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, it kind of broke up your flow because you had to go to a menu to change the styles every time.
Right.
So being able
Right.
to change them on the fly, it sounds really cool. Like this is something you could do like mid combo. You could change styles.
Yeah, you can change styles and weapons mid combo,
Yeah.
And like we've seen other games do similar things, right? Bayonetta does a similar thing where you've got like a weapon set for your arms and feet.
Yeah.
You can have two and you can swap between the two, right?
Yeah.
Nier Automata does a similar thing. But like that's just swapping between two different things.
Right.
This is swapping between many, many different things to the point where it almost feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then you just realize like it's like a buffet,
Sure.
Like you're not intended to eat everything there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's the thing about that's the thing,
and if you can, you're awesome.
Yeah.
But you're not.
well that's
intended
that's the
to.
thing about character action games, especially ones with like really deep move sets, is
Yeah.
that you feel almost like if you're not using everything, you're doing
Yeah.
it wrong.
Right.
And so like I feel like a good character action game balances like accessibility with making you feel awesome while you're doing whatever you're doing. I think there's like a balance you have to strike there, because you want to make the player feel awesome without making their shit too complex and overwhelming them with commands. But every time I play a character action game, I always look at the command list, and I'm always feeling like I never do this thing. Am I playing this game wrong? Am I not being as cool as I could be? So
well, it's weird, right? Like, it's weird in that, like, lots of people compare these games to fighting games, right?
Right.
And like, where where like a special move in a fighting game might have something like a quarter circle, right?
Yeah.
Like, most of these games, it's a timing thing, right?
Sure, right.
X, wait, X, right?
Sure.
Shit like that.
Yeah.
But like, there are like some, like, you know, whip your fucking stick around 180 degrees type of crap, you know?
Yeah.
You got like air taunts now, which are like fantastic, you know?
Cool.
And yeah, it's super cool. But like, yeah, I played through the first playthrough. Now I'm going through. I didn't know the difficulty wouldn't stack. So like, the first time I played through on normal.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't unlock the easy trophy for me.
Yeah, so you got to go through and play it on easy.
So I'm playing it on easy right now.
Yeah.
After that, I'm gonna play with Virgil. I haven't touched Virgil yet.
Yeah, I saw him. He looks rad.
Yeah, I haven't touched him yet, but he's supposed to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fantastic. And it's like a lot of callbacks to like, I mean, callbacks to all the games, of course, but like callbacks to like the anime and shit. Like, there are characters in this game that are only in the anime, you know?
Weird.
Yeah. But like, that being said, I feel like even if you don't know the Devil May Cry story, you could probably play this and be okay.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. So from what I understand, like, you changed between characters at predetermined points, right? Like,
yeah. So like, the story jumps around.
Yeah.
You know? Each time it's not like old Devil May Cry where like it's all an interconnected world, right? It's levels.
Sure.
It's missions broken up. And at the beginning of each one, it'll tell you the date and time at which it takes place.
Okay.
And like, yeah, you start off the game and you are Nero. And then you play as V for a while, but then like certain levels give the option, like, if you want to play this level as V or Dante or Nero, you know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but I think Virgil is just like, here, play as Virgil in these levels that make no sense.
Cool.
I could be wrong.
So is he actually part of the story, or is he just
he's
there?
He's a big part of the story.
Okay.
But like, I could be wrong. I definitely could be wrong. I know, like, with DMC3, the special edition, when they put Virgil in there,
you just play the whole game as Virgil.
Yeah, and it's Dante levels, but they give you at least a Virgil cutscene, you know?
Yeah.
But then for some reason you're in the bar, or the office, whatever.
Yeah.
You know? But, yeah, so I don't know what the story's like, but I'm excited to try him out. He looks cool.
Yeah. And as you know, I'm like one of the few who openly admit to liking Ninja Theory's DMC.
Yeah.
I mean, that was honestly, like, I've always looked at Devil May Cry as kind of like, I looked at Dante and I'm like, this dude's just a human Ninja Turtle, honestly. Like, that's how I've always seen him, right?
Yeah.
And so I felt like DMC was like, I actually like that version of Dante better. But at the same time, like, I could.
You like the DMC version of Dante better?
Yeah, I do. I think he's cooler.
He's just like such a downer all the time.
Yeah, well, his parents are dead, you know, and
so are regular Dante's parents.
Yeah, but I feel like regular Dante, like, that guy obviously hasn't processed that. I think regular Dante is repressing it with partying and surfing on missiles. I think that
I don't know, man.
I
think like what Itsuno did with Ninja Theory for DMC, like, I think there is a lot of good in that game.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of cool stuff in that game.
Yeah.
I just don't like the story, the style, the enemies, the characters. You know, like, fucking Virgil, I'm gonna fucking shoot this fucking pregnant lady in the belly. Like, I don't want any of that. You
My
know?
favorite thing, my favorite criticism about DMC is in the original release, everybody hated Virgil's hat. He had this hat that
And then they
everybody-
removed
and
it.
then they removed it in the subsequent releases. That is so
Let
funny
me
to
ask you. So, did you play the original release or the definitive version, or both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, the definitive version, I feel like definitely makes up for a lot of the wrongs in the original.
Yeah.
You know, things like having a proper lock on, right?
Yeah.
Like, that seems like such a small thing, but that's huge for a game like that.
I think it's huge for a game that, like, where as much stuff is going on and as quickly as that game moves. I think it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. But, like, again, even in definitive edition, they changed a lot of the dialogue to make it less offensive. You know. And I'm not like some super sensitive person, you know, but like there's a lot of things I don't really care to play through.
Yeah, there's
DMC being one of them.
I don't know. I like that. I like the overall like presentation of that game. I like that like it in some ways felt, and like I'm using this term loosely because of the context in which this conversation is taking place.
Yeah.
But it almost felt a little bit more grounded to me in a way.
I mean, that's definitely what they were going for.
Yeah.
You know, instead of having like, let's have all of our monsters be like corporate bigwigs. You know, let's do that.
Yeah, do it. Yeah, I'm all for it. That being said, I would not hang out with either Dante. I think both of those guys would be insufferable. But I don't know. I like that game a lot, and I want to play 5. I remember seeing like a lot of gameplay footage of that game. But again, I'm a guy who needs a lot of context, and I never finished 4. So I'd always meant to go back and play through 4 and then jump into 5, but I never got.
So it has this whole like at the start menu. There's like the history of DMC.
Yeah.
That's intended to catch new players up. You know.
Sure.
I think like that's probably enough, or like a quick YouTube video is probably enough. You know.
And I think it's on
also like there's
sale
some
right
weird
now.
like small details in the game that are really cool. So like at the start of the game, you have this fight with like this big bad who like whoops everyone's asses, right?
Sure.
And then it cuts to a month later, right? Well, like Dante is like incapacitated for that month, you know? So like when you first see Dante, and then you see him a month later, like his hair is slightly longer.
Sure.
He's got more facial hair because like a month has passed without him being able to like shave or anything like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like little details like that are pretty neat.
Yeah.
You know? And I don't think most people would notice that. Like, you know, I almost didn't notice it until like you go into the gallery and you can like look at these character models and shit.
But I very much feel like you are someone who absolutely notices little things like that all the time.
I don't think I would have, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's stupid. It's really stupidly cool. Like, yeah.
Well, I think that's like kind of like, especially around the time that game came out, I think a lot of people were kind of looking for something that was stupidly cool.
Yeah.
And I do remember, I think I saw, who was it that I saw? Was it Dante who picked up 2 halves of a motorcycle and was like beating people up with it?
Yeah, it's just like one of your melee weapons is motorcycles. And then you got this hat, this weird gun hat that like when you get it, he does this whole Michael Jackson performance. It's great.
Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah.
You've sold me on this game. I feel like I need to play this game now.
Yeah, it's great.
Because I think that there is definitely a difference between games that try too hard and end up being stupid.
Yeah.
And then you have games that know that they're stupid and then just like lean into it.
Oh yeah, I mean even 4 had some weird ass Dante scene, you know, but like like if you watch like reactions of like streamers' reactions to like the Michael Jackson scene for Devil May Cry 5, it's hilarious.
I want to like, I almost wish you didn't tell me about that because I want to play it and then be like surprised by something.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. Have you been playing anything else?
Nothing. Like I have played other games, but nothing like like those games, like the two of those like sucked me in. I played a
Yeah.
lot of those.
So I
Um,
saw something today that made me think of you, and I almost texted it to you, but like I got sidetracked at work and I forgot about it. But
what's that?
I saw a Kickstarter for Project Warlock 2.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, and like
Project Warlock.
the only thing that they're asking for is like publishing costs. Like they just
Yeah.
want help with and like so they asked for like $280 or some shit, and, and then they got like $30,000, I think. So
Yeah, and I don't like the look of this new one
Yeah.
as much as I did the old one.
sure,
But like the old game was so much fun that
Yeah.
I'll definitely buy this one. I did play Max Payne. Like fuck, it's taken forever to get Max Payne running properly
like,
on
tell me-
PC,
tell
but I
me about
finally got
that.
it going.
Tell me about like what that was like. What happened?
I mean, you start it up and like, what's weird is like it's Rockstar.
Sure.
They've got the money to make all of their back game. I know they didn't develop the game, but they own it, right?
Sure.
They've got the money to make all of these games run properly on PC, and they just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but you start it and like it's widescreen, but only widescreen, in that like everything is stretched out,
Sure.
which I can't do that. I just
Yeah.
can't. I can't watch a movie that way.
It looks gross.
Can't play a game that way. So I start looking up like fixes for it, and I find this one, and it seems to be working fine, but like then the audio's gone. Like certain audio is just missing, So I find another one, and everything looks perfect. But as soon as you get like, there's like the weird little tutorial section in
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
alley,
yeah.
and then it does the cinematic to where it's fucking Max on top of the building,
Yeah.
and then it flashes back to the house, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as it flashes back to the house, the game just shuts off. I'm like, what the fuck, So yeah, finally I found one that works and it's great, but it was kind of a hassle. So I've been playing that. Ghost Runner I got on sale.
Oh.
I've only played about an hour of it
Yeah.
so far, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really fucking cool.
I
don't know what I was expecting. Like, I see a game like that and I immediately think Mirror's Edge,
Sure.
And it's
Yeah.
nothing like Mirror's Edge, of course, but like,
But you could be forgiven for thinking that.
yeah, but like it's more like Hotline Miami than it is like Mirror's Edge, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very much a Super Meat Boy type of thing where it's like
Yeah.
try and try and try and try again,
It's very much like, because I think that like I think we've talked about this many times, is that on its like on the surface, Hotline Miami very much looks like an action game, but it's
Right.
it's a puzzle game disguised as an action game, and I feel like Ghost Runner
Yeah.
is very much the same thing.
Yeah, it's very similar, but like there's what I like about it in the same vein as like Hotline, more so than something like Super Meat Boy or even like Celeste for that matter, is that like there are multiple solutions to the problem.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, it's still hard as balls.
It is
It's
very
a hard
hard.
fucking game.
It is very hard. Like,
Yeah.
it's what's the funny thing about Ghost Runner to me is that you will do something that you think is badass, and then a stray bullet catches you in the head, and then you're back at the start of the level.
Yeah.
Like you'll be air dodging a bullet, and then someone else will shoot you. It's a cool.
And that being
game,
said,
though.
like Devil May Cry 5 has like the secret missions that like a lot of the previous games have had,
yeah,
and like I feel the same way about those.
yeah,
Like just try it and try it and try it over
Yeah.
and over again and fail and fail and fail, and then finally you fucking get it.
yeah,
I've only done like half of them, but I'm trying.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, PC.
Like I
gaming.
had one that was like kill the scissors enemy in one hit.
Yeah,
You know the scissor ghost guy
Yeah.
from like the first game.
sure.
Well, he's back, and it's like kill him in one hit. And I know like there's a way in the old game to do it that like people exploited all the time. I don't know that much about DMC1. I've played it, sure, but I'm not like some DMC expert,
Sure, yeah.
So everyone's like, "Oh, just do the old trick; it still works." I'm like, I don't know
like,
what the
what
old
is
trick
the old
dude.
trick?
But finally, I got that one. So like, yeah, it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's getting there.
Yeah, so man, the your trials and tribulations through PC gaming have like this is a thing that has been going on since I think you got back into PC gaming. Like when it came back to like we were trying to figure out how to get Typing of the Dead going.
Oh yeah, that's such a weird one too. Only integrated graphics.
Yeah.
Can't run off your graphics card.
Like, why?
God forbid a video game use your graphics card. But
You know,
like,
you know what's funny is that I went to install that like a few months back, And
Yeah.
I knew that was the deal, right? And I was like, I'm just gonna try it and see if I can get it to run off my graphics card. And then like when it didn't, I was like, you know what, I'm not into it. And then I just like I gave up.
And that's such an easy thing to change, right?
Yeah.
But how would I know that that's what the game wanted from me?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that shit is just so opaque and it's just so
Yeah.
hard to figure it out.
And the thing is, dude, like I'm to the point now where I'm like, I want to play the games I want to play,
yeah.
where I can have the best experience, right?
Yeah.
Max Payne 1 is on PlayStation. I could play it on my PlayStation 5,
Right.
you know? But like that game was a PC game.
Yeah.
It was ported to PlayStation.
Right.
I want to play with a mouse and a keyboard, and
Yeah.
for that it's worth it to me.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'll say fuck it and buy the console version if it's giving me too much trouble, you know?
Yeah. And that's kind of like where I've been at, really. Like a lot of like my PC is at this point I use it for podcasting,
Work.
podcasting and game dev. That's it.
Yeah.
That's really it. And I got to the point where I'm just like, and even when I do upgrade my PC, it is
Yeah.
only going to be to do those two things better. I kind of like, I think that like I'm at a point now where the stresses and headaches that I've experienced with PC gaming are just no longer worth it to me.
See, and to me, like that's only the case when I'm trying to play something that's usually pretty old,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
If I like Doom, right? Played Doom Eternal on Steam, and like it's just fine. It ran just fine, no problems.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I would rather play with this control scheme
Right.
than with a controller.
Yeah.
You know? There are games where it's the opposite, right? I would rather play Devil May Cry 5 with a controller than with a mouse and keyboard.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But like so like if it's a modern game where the input makes more sense to me, then I'll play it on PC, you
Yeah.
know? Ghost Runner, like I can imagine, I'm sure plenty of people play Ghost Runner on console. I don't
Sure.
want to do that.
Yeah.
That's too hard for me, you know?
That is actually my only experience with Ghost Runner because I saw it
Yeah.
on because it's on PlayStation Now. So
Yeah.
I wanted to try it before I bought it, and I think it's cool. I think it's very cool, but at the same time, I was telling Kaylee, I was like, I think Ghost Runner as a concept is very neat.
Yeah.
This music is right in my Q zone.
Sure.
But I also think that if I had spent money on this, I would be very bummed out because this game.
Oh, really?
Because this
Wow, I wasn't bummed out at all, but I got it on sale, so
yeah,
who knows?
Like, because it is a kind of. I think when I played it, I was like, this is a kind of challenge that I am not looking for right now.
Yeah, see, and I'm that way as well, where it's like sometimes I love that, right?
Yeah.
Hotline released at the right time for me to be
Sure.
super into that.
Yeah.
Same thing could be said for like Celeste or whatever, right? And sometimes I just can't stand it.
Yeah.
Ghost Runner, it's not something I see myself playing like in the next couple of weeks, but I do definitely intend to get back to it.
Yeah.
Very cool, especially from a smaller studio. But yeah, like input matters to me, I think more than it does to a lot of console players.
Sure.
I've got a friend Paris who makes money off of Call of Duty.
Right.
Like she's good at Call of Duty, and like Call of Duty at high levels is played on a controller.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Like most Call of Duty tournaments, like fucking Team Optic and shit, they're playing with an Xbox controller.
I
Like
had
that's
no
what they're
idea.
playing those games with. But I'm like that's just like for me, mouse and keyboard is a crutch. I've been pointing and clicking on things forever.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. I'm not going to belabor you with everything that I've been playing because the list is long. So I'm just gonna do the noteworthy things. So I guess I'll get the game behind me out of the way because you'd asked about it before we started. So I've been playing this game.
Yeah.
Kayla and I have been playing this game called Cozy Grove. And so this game is out. I don't know what else it's out on. I know that it's out on PlayStation. I know it's out on phones. That's it.
Okay.
But okay, so basically, I think the way that I have best been able to summarize this game is it's like if you could imagine a more chilled out Animal Crossing with more hugging and less capitalism. I feel like that's what this game is.
Less capitalism, you say?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so basically, the premise of the game is you are something called a spirit scout. It's like a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout, except you specifically go to places that are haunted to help out whatever spirits are there. So you arrive at an island called Cozy Grove, and there are all these ghost bears there, and so you spend all your time on the island helping them, complete various tasks. Like there's a pelican who believes himself to be a pelican bear, who in his previous life was a sailor and fisherman, and so he asks you to catch fish for him, and then in doing so, as you complete different tasks for him, more of his story progresses, and you learn more about him, and then you get him closer to being able to pass on.
Let me ask you: is the story worth progressing? The story of that pelican?
I mean, I don't know yet. I know.
Okay.
I know very little about the pelican bear. But
Yeah.
It is. I think it's
The
very
pelican brief.
I know very little about all of the characters at this point, because like you're learning more about them as you help them.
Yeah.
But the game it's very charming. It's got.
But you say it's like Animal Crossing. Like, is it like Animal Crossing and like the gameplay mechanics are like
Yeah.
Animal Crossing?
Yeah, in fact,
Okay.
like a lot of like there are a lot of parallels between the two.
Yeah.
I think that probably a main difference between the two is that Cozy Grove will kind of give you a better idea of when it's probably time to stop playing for the day, because it gives you a better idea of like, well, you've done everything that you can do today.
Yeah.
So, come back tomorrow and, pick it up from there. Whereas I feel like with Animal Crossing, you kind of have to, as you play, like you kind of have to figure out like, well, I guess I've done everything for the day. But
Right.
I think Cozy Grove does a better job of kind of communicating that to you. Just like Animal Crossing, it uses a real world clock. So,
Can you manipulate that clock?
I imagine you could. I've not done that yet, but I imagine that you could. So far, it's a lot of fun. I like it. It's about $15 on the PlayStation, so it's pretty cool. Just a brief No Man's Sky update.
I know they got some new stuff coming out, right?
Yeah, so they just had a new update called Frontiers. So in this update, basically what you're doing, what they've added is procedurally generated settlements on planets. And so basically what you can do is you can go to these settlements and be like, hey, I'm the new space mayor of this town. And so each settlement has different traits, and these traits will kind of affect how the residents of that settlement behave. Like, for example, like there's this one of the first settlement that I found. One of the regulations that it had in place is that no pets are allowed, so that like negatively impacted the productivity and happiness of the settlers there. But also what you're doing.
What a weird addition.
What you're doing in these settlements is you're constructing buildings with materials that you gather, and also fending off like attacks from if you haven't played No Man's Sky, there's these floating robots there's these robot entities called Sentinels, and sometimes these Sentinels will attack. They're not like X-Men Sentinels.
I didn't say anything.
But I knew that's what you were thinking. So sometimes they'll attack. Sometimes they'll need stuff like more materials, or sometimes like they'll have different requests or whatever. And you kind of try to keep the settlement productive and keep the residents happy. And it sounds weird, and it's a weird way to keep you grounded in one place. In a game that is in a game that is about interstellar
Going all
exploration.
over the place. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's cool. It's a cool little addition. I've been really I've been finding it a lot more engaging than I expected to.
Yeah.
And I like it. I like it a lot. I I want to keep experimenting with it and seeing like kind of what the end game with that stuff is. But overall, I've been having a lot of fun with it, and No Man's Sky has been like one of my big means of like escapism for the past 5 years. So any reason to return to it is welcome to me. Also, since we last, I guess I can't remember if I talked about this last time or if I had gotten to it.
Oh, give it to me. What is it?
Aliens, Fire
Briefly. We talked about it a little bit. We didn't talk about it much.
Yeah, so man, like the more I play that game, and I know that the comparisons to Colonial Marines are inevitable, and like
of course, it's an alien shooter.
But like at the same time, like it's literally what I thought. Fireteam Elite is literally what I thought Colonial Marines was when that game came out. Like what do you
mean? Like what you thought it was going to be?
What I thought it was going to be. When like leading up to that game coming out, this is what I thought that game was going to be.
Yeah.
And it feels it's like it's such a great game, but the problem is that the game is you have to be playing with other people, like you.
And that's literally the only reason I haven't jumped on it.
Yeah, it's just like you have to be playing with other people, and
I've heard a lot of people say that.
And like because it'll even tell you in the game, like at higher difficulties, like it'll say using synths for this mission for this difficulty level is not recommended because they're not capable of doing, like, obviously they're not capable of reacting the ways that humans can. And they also
and you gotta wonder about like why that is, right? Like they can't because whoever programmed it like made it that way, whether it was intentional or not, you know. And what sucks is that like you've got other games in the same genre where your AI companions can get you through just fine. You know?
Yeah.
Like Left 4 Dead, I can beat that on some pretty high difficulties with a bunch of bots.
And this is literally Left 4 Dead with aliens.
Right.
So
same thing like Zombie Army Trilogy. I can get pretty far in that one. I can't speak to 4, but Zombie Army Trilogy, I can get pretty far in that one with just bots.
I playing because I played a good amount of Zombie Army 4, and you can get pretty like I've gotten pretty far on a reasonably high difficulty like by myself.
Right. So hopefully that's something they can update.
Well, I mean, they've got a lot of planned content updates down the line for the game. But
because that is literally the only reason I haven't bought it yet. It's a cheap game. It's only $40, and like it looks great, you know. But like I don't have enough friends who are playing consistently online at the times that I'm available to play. You know.
I mean, if you were willing to play on console, I could play pretty consistently with you. But is
it not crossplay?
It is not. I looked it up, and it is not. And here's what's curious to me is the decision to make it a 3-player game is very odd to me. It's just a very weird, like this. It's like because like I'm used to like for these kind of games, I'm used to playing with 3 other people. Like that's just how it's always been for me.
Right.
And so this being a 3-player game is just so weird to me. But you know, that said, like because I've been playing a lot with our friends Jimmy and Eric, and like there's just so many like very aliens moments like created in this game, right? Like there are these those moments where there was like literally a moment where the 3 of us like you know the smart gun from Aliens, right? Very iconic weapon, right? And that's probably my preferred weapon in the game. But like there's these like so I've been using that a lot, but there was literally a moment where the 3 of us were like standing with our backs to each other while like xenomorphs were like crawling down the walls on like all sides. And like,
I've seen a lot of stuff like that.
And it's just so like it's terrifying, but like as an Aliens fan, it's like so cool.
Great.
It's so cool. and they take you through a lot of stuff that you saw like in the prequels. Like you see some of the stuff with the engineers, and like they and the like that weird mutagen that they had in Prometheus that made people all weird. And so they do
The ooze.
Yeah, they show you the secret of the ooze.
They make super shredders.
Yeah, but it's such a cool game. But I feel like there's some like really questionable design decisions around that game. That
See, for me, like that's like you're right. 3 players is kind of strange unless the game is like specifically designed around that. It's kind of strange, right? Like, would a fourth really hinder things?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I haven't played it, you know.
Yeah.
But like the decision to not have crossplay is just so baffling to me these days.
Sure.
You know, Quake comes out and it's crossplay.
Yeah.
I can play on my PC with somebody on Switch and PlayStation.
Right.
Just fine. And it makes sense, right? You keep those lobbies full.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Especially in a game like Aliens, which is not competitive.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. And so like the idea that, and that's the idea for me too, is that like I have so many people that I want to play this game with, but like not everybody I know is playing on the same platform. I know people on PlayStation, on Xbox, and on PC. And I can't play with all of them at the same time.
Right.
And even if I could, somebody's getting left out because it's a 3-player game. So like, and that's actually something I've already run into, right? Where like we had like a fourth who wanted to play. It was like, well, it's a 3-player game, and it feels kind of shitty to tell them that you're all full up because like because you can only support 3 players. But you know, that being said, like it's like I really feel like as far as action oriented Alien games go, I feel like it's one of the better ones.
Yeah,
I feel like they did a lot of stuff like the sounds are like movie authentic sounds. And
I think for the newer stuff, that's like very clear that that's the case. You know, and by newer stuff, I mean stuff like since Colonial Marines and you know, obviously, Isolation was its own thing.
It's like a different thing,
you know.
Right? And I was talking to someone recently, and I was like, Isolation is the Ridley Scott game, and Fireteam Elite is the James Cameron game, right?
Right. But like, I think a lot of people shit on a lot of the games in that based off of Alien and Aliens. And I think like most of them are pretty solid. Like there have been some bad ones, but like people still love AVP 2001 or whatever it was, you know.
I know they
and the Capcom game and like you know like and the fucking DS one. Like people love those games, you know. Yeah.
But you know,
one of the better Jaguar games.
Low bar, but
yeah.
But like. I think that I think that there's, for someone who likes that franchise as much as you know me and all of my friends do, like I think that it nails like a lot of the stuff that like we like about that series. And like obviously like it's more geared toward like the action like parts of the Alien franchise, right?
But it's Aliens,
yeah,
not Alien.
Yeah, right. And but like it gives like it does try to give you some lore, and like there is some callbacks to stuff for like for fans to like actual fans to enjoy. You know, and
I noticed they've got like the Vasquez bandana and shit like that.
Yeah. And I have to imagine that Hicks will be a fucking skin in like whatever DLC they release later on.
Dude, they should just make them all skins.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't know why.
Because
like,
you have to pay for those likenesses, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know.
But like all the guns sound like just like you remember from the movies. Like the aliens make the same noises from the movies.
I think the most impressive thing that I've heard in regards to like the game's sound design and even like design of other things like models and such is like everything sounds the way that it should, and even new things sound like you would think they would sound. You know. Yeah.
That shit is really cool. Like it feels like an authentic like experience. And I think that the thing about Aliens is it's really, you would think that like that would be like a very rich well to draw from, right? And
Hmm.
and it would be really easy to make like, you know, a solid like Aliens action game, but like,
Yeah.
you know, as we've seen, it is possible to fuck that up. But you know, honestly though, I think that especially for, you know, for not even being a full price game, I feel like I've gotten like a ton out of this game.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking forward to, because like we're going through like the three of us are going through the campaign right now. We're nearing the end. We're actually like the last mission we did was like we're going into an alien hive, and like we're supposed to like destroy it. And that's another thing too, is like you look all over the walls and like it looks like you would expect, right?
Yeah.
But you
Who
know,
published this?
uh,
Warner
fo-
Brothers?
so let me take a look, because I think it was Focus Home Interactive.
Okay. Okay.
The makers of fine properties like fucking, what is it? I think Focus does The Surge, I think.
Yeah, I think they do Sticks. Pretty sure they do Sticks.
But it's a great game, and I think that honestly, for someone who is in your position where like you don't have like a lot of people to play it with consistently, I would
Yeah.
I would probably wait for like a sale or something.
Yeah.
But that being said, I think I really enjoy it. Also, I have been playing. I've been playing Scarlet Nexus. I finished my first playthrough of Scarlet Nexus. Um, you know, and I don't know that. I don't know that I have played a game that is so good at like. That is like so good at like balancing like some really heavy shit with also like some lighthearted elements with your friends. You know, like there's like
Really?
there's like heavy themes of like loss and like being betrayed by your government and
Yeah.
like all this and like being betrayed by like family members and shit like that. But then
But
like
it's done well?
yeah, I think it's done really well.
Wow.
But then like there are, so you have these like between missions.
Yeah.
You go to a hideout, and that's where you and your friends like hang out between missions, and you can give them gifts that like raise their affinity for you. And then once you raise it to a certain point, you have what is called a bonding episode, where it usually plays out in like a cutscene of some kind, and then like no, there's no sex.
Oh, okay.
There's no sex.
Okay.
Nobody
All right.
bonds that way. These are children, Tom.
I didn't know. I don't know what that game's about.
They are children, Thomas. Well, most of them are anyway. Some of them aren't children, but
No.
but like there's like it's. I think that like one of the criticisms I've seen of the game is that there is a lot of like when you do these bonding episodes, there's like a lot of talking. You're sitting through a lot of talking, right? But I think that also they're kind of necessary to give the full weight to certain moments in the game. I think that without that, like certain parts of the story would
Are we
feel less
wait.
powerful.
Are we talking like a cutscene or like scrolling through dialogue? Or like what are we doing here?
So sometimes, okay, so it depends on a couple of things.
Okay.
So it depends on one, who the bonding episode is with, like which character it's with, and two, at what stage of your friendship you are with that character.
Okay.
Because sometimes it'll be like, hey, let's go to this cafe and talk about this thing that we need to talk about. And other times it'll be like, I have some shit that I need to work out. Let's go kill some monsters while I work that shit out.
Yeah.
So it depends, right? But like I think that like as far as, because I think that as far as, I don't know, I don't have a lot of knowledge of character action games, admittedly, but it very much feels like one to me. And
Yeah.
I think that as far as character action games go, it's not nearly as deep as something like a Bayonetta or you know, a Devil May Cry.
Sure.
But I think that the loop is definitely different, because like as opposed to like figuring out more complex combos and like keeping the enemy juggled or whatever, what you're doing is you are juggling like the different powers that you're using, right? So
Oh yeah, I know this game. I know this
Yeah.
game. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so
Uh-huh.
my combo is I slash you with my sword real quick, and then I throw a car at you, and then
Right.
I repeat that loop, or like, and I might like borrow my friend's pyrokinesis power to throw in the mix to light my sword on fire and shit like that. So the instead of like complex combos, the loop is kind of like juggling between these different powers like on the fly and figuring out like in a split second like what's the best thing to use right here. So overall it had like that first playthrough has like it got a couple of tears out of me. And I'm looking forward to playing through a second time with the other character. The only bummer for me about that though is that both of the main playable characters have the same power. Yeah, so
and playing through a second time, you're getting like another perspective of the story, or what?
yeah, so through I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who's listening and wants to go through this game, but like you at some point, like at the beginning of the game, you all start out as in the same platoon, right? Then some shit happens, and then you guys end up on two opposite sides of this fight. And so like throughout the story, like you guys will clash into one another, and like then an exchange will ensue, and then you'll part ways again.
But you're not playing through like the exact same material.
I mean, I don't think so.
Okay. Okay.
But I'll have to play it. But like,
yeah.
So the main difference between the two characters is that like while they have the same power, they both have like this telekinesis power. Their melee weapon is different. Like the guy Yuito, he uses a sword, whereas the girl Kasane, she uses like these throwing knives. So she's more ranged and he's more up close. So, but yeah, I didn't want to dive into the second playthrough like right away because I had some other shit that I wanted to play. But it is a great game, I think, and I think it seems like a game that you might even enjoy.
And I've looked at it. I know the game you're talking about now.
Yeah.
I've looked at it a few times. I'm just so picky with stuff like that. Like when it comes to like, I don't want to call it an anime game just because that's the aesthetic of it.
Sure.
But like, I don't really know how else to put it.
But honestly, it's like if you've ever watched it, this is an anime.
Right.
Like
it's like I don't know. I'm picky about those stories, right? And I'm often picky about the gameplay. Like, dude, Nier is the same thing. They might not quite look super anime, but like it's a pretty fucking anime
game.
You know?
Yeah.
So like sometimes I love it, but like sometimes I'm just like, I don't know. Same thing. Like I really want to play Astral Chain, but like I just haven't, you know.
Yeah.
But things like this that warrant multiple playthroughs. I like a lot because, I mean, you can get better and better at that sort of thing, you know.
The thing about it is that like one of the things I like about action character action games like Devil May Cry is I like my combo being counted. That's very satisfying when that number, like watching that number go up. But I also like that whole like the grading system that Devil May Cry has classically had, where like it tells you like how badass you were in that last section. Whereas like you kind of had like with a game like Scarlet Nexus, you kind of have to just figure out like how badass do you think you were in that section?
Yeah.
Right? Like how badass did you think you were in that section? Then
I mean, Nier's the same way. There's no grades for you in Nier, you know.
Yeah.
But like it's interesting because like that game also requires multiple playthroughs, but it's from different perspectives of different characters who do slightly different things, you know.
Yeah.
I think with 5, what I like about 5 right now is that like you really only need to play through it once to get the story, you know, and you're getting different perspectives from different characters, but it's just all slapped into one campaign.
Yeah.
And like oftentimes in movies and in novels, I can be very picky about that when things decide that they want to jump around with time, you know. But I feel like in a game that is trying to accomplish that, it's pretty well done, you know.
Yeah. I don't know a lot of people who've actually don't know anybody who's played Scarlet Nexus. So like the only opinion that I've heard of the game is
it's the Code Vein people, right?
Yeah.
I know people who have played Code Vein and liked it okay.
Yeah.
But I know it's very different from that one.
Yeah. But like the overall look is very similar. So
sure.
And the last thing I played, well, the last notable thing I should say that I played was Tales of Berseria.
Oh, that's the older one.
Yeah. So
Tales
of Arise is coming out this week, I think, either this week or next week.
Yeah.
And so like
I think it's already out. No.
it might be, um, so I played the demo for that, and I was very impressed with it.
Yeah.
And I've actually never played through a Tales game before. Um, I had always been kind of like curious about them, like ever since I think whatever the first one on GameCube was, like I'd always been like curious about it, about them. But like I never actually sat down and played one of them. So I decided I decided that I would give Tales of Zestria a try. But this was like I was coming off of Persona 5, and I was kind of looking for something to kind of fill the void that Persona 5 left in its wake. And I decided that I immediately decided that I hated the main guy in Zestria. I was like, I hate this guy. I'm not playing this game. I hate this guy. So that was a waste of.
Berseria is the lady, right?
Yeah. So
I think it's the first time that they've had like a lady as the lead.
yeah. So this is also like my first real introduction to the combat system of the Tales games. Like with the combos and like all the stuff that goes with that, right? And what I thought, like the first time I played it, like I kind of bounced off of it because something about it just didn't vibe well for me, and I just kind of bounced off of it. And so I went and I played the demo for Arise. I was like, this game is badass. Based on this demo, this game is really cool. But I also know that it is kind of a bit of a departure from what Tales had been.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let me get a little bit more perspective. I own 2 Tales games that I have yet to play. I'm going to play Berseria because that seems to be the one that I saw that had the higher review score, so I'm going to play that one. So I'm playing it, and like initially what I thought was, I was like, I'm just going to match out these combos. I don't care what the optimal shit is. I just want to match out the combos to get through the game, and it's whatever. So what ended up happening though is I started like caring about these combos, and now I found myself like online, like, what is the best combo for Velvet to use? What is the best combo for this guy to use? And so now I'm on message boards like looking up combos for these characters.
Yeah.
And like I've never looked up combos for anything outside of a fighting game before.
Right.
So this is all very new to me.
Yeah.
But Berseria is pretty cool, actually. It feels a little weird.
Yeah, what is that, like 2016, 2017, something like that?
2016, and I didn't know this, but it was also a PS3 game.
Yeah.
That's not, I don't know why that's relevant. It's something that I saw, and it stuck out to me. Because I didn't know that they were still doing PS3 games in 2016. I didn't know that. But yeah, it's a really neat game. The story is just, I don't want to say that it's like, I almost said that it's just good enough to keep me playing it, because I feel like that's kind of a disservice to that story, because I do think the story is better than that. But it's a lot of like, it's like the classic like Japanese game of like, there's these religious guys who are really kind of fucked up, and they're doing all this fucked up shit. So you have to fight them or get revenge on them. In this case, it's just getting revenge against these religious guys. But overall, the game is really neat. I'm
glad to hear you're having fun with that. It's just like, it's not frequent that I hear you talk about a JRPG. You know, outside of like, I know you love Final Fantasy 15 and Persona and all that, but like, it's not super common.
So like I think that like, it's because I talked about it before. Like when I was a kid, like I loved JRPGs, but
they're very different games than they are now.
Yeah, like I think like as I got older, I kind of fell out of them. I think that one of the last JRPGs that I bought before I kind of stopped playing them altogether was Blue Dragon.
Oh yeah.
It was either Blue Dragon or
I was with you when you bought Blue Dragon.
Yeah. And Lost Odyssey. I think those are the last 2 I bought before like I kind of just fell off of JRPGs altogether.
It's because those were the only 2 on Xbox 360. I guess they put Final Fantasy on there, but yeah.
Yeah, well,
there are Tales games on there as well. Yeah.
But well, like that's funny too, right?
Well, no, it's just because like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon are games that like Microsoft set out to find people to make JRPGs for them.
Well, like because I think that like I think that like the Xbox 360 and the PS3 are different in more ways than just their hardware, right, or just their exclusive, right. I think that there's like a kind of a mindset that goes with which one you purchase. I think that like
Yeah.
I think that classically Xbox has never really been like I think Xbox has had RPGs on it, right? That definitely has had RPGs on it, but like nothing for like if you look at OG Xbox and 360, most of their catalogs are nothing resembling
Yeah.
a JRPG.
Well, I mean, I'm serious though. Like those two games, Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, like Xbox sought out
Yeah.
developers to make them some JRPGs.
Yeah, but
You
like
know?
I would love for someone to name a JRPG that exists on the original Xbox because I can't think of one. And
Yeah.
I would be willing to bet a sizable amount of cash.
Final
that does not exist.
Fantasy Dirge Server.
That came out on original Xbox.
I think so. I believe so.
Cool.
I could definitely be wrong about that.
Well, we'll go ahead and say Shadow the Hedgehog, and that's as close as
There
we
you
went
go.
there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like it a lot. I actually find myself like, going to it and like actually like looking forward to playing it. So, but again, the reason I came to this game is because I wanted the perspective of like this is what Tales I guess has been like for like 15 years, and and then I'm gonna go to Arise whenever Arise Chicken. I'm gonna go to Arise.
Oh my god.
Whenever I'm done with this, so they do feel really different, and I think that they do think that Arise has a better, it has a better combat system for sure. I think it flows better and it feels more action packed and it feels more like really frenetic. Whereas I think that Berseria, like for as much cool shit as you can do in Berseria, I do think that the flow of combat is kind of stilted in a weird way that like doesn't necessarily feel like very it's fast paced as I feel like they want to communicate with it.
Yeah.
But
I think JRPGs have that problem a lot.
Yeah.
Very frequently. But people love a lot of the games I have criticisms of, so who knows?
Yeah. Well, and like it's funny because like I have never I've talked many times about established franchises and not understanding why the good ones are the good ones and why the bad ones are the bad ones. Like I don't understand why that's the good Mega Man and that's the bad Mega Man. And and I guess it speaks to I guess I can speak even more to that because Final Fantasy 15 is my favorite Final Fantasy, and a lot of people consider that to be one of the bad ones. So I don't
see, but I think no, people love 15.
Every time
people hate 13.
Every time I am involved in a conversation about Final Fantasy 15, I hear about like how that game is just this huge mess. And it is not good.
Nothing but good things. That's funny, but like I think that's only the case for series in which you've only played select titles from. I think like the series that you were invested in, that you've played every game in the franchise, you can pick out the bad ones and why they're bad.
Sure.
I
think I'm in the minority.
Like you have said multiple times that the pre-sequel is bad. And you know why it's bad.
Yeah. It's very Australian. That's why. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, I am in the minority in that I think that Code Veronica is not a very fun game. A lot of people seem to like Code Veronica a lot. I cannot stand. I think my two least favorite Resident Evil games are Code Veronica and Zero. I do not like either. I do not like
I knew it was going to be Zero.
I do not like that game. And like what I think sealed my dislike for Zero is me getting gobbled by that frog near the end of the game.
See, but what's funny is you talking about that, like, I think of the early Resident Evil games, 1 through OG Remake, you just picked out the ones that most people would pick out.
Did I?
Most people would say Zero is bad. People like Code Veronica, but people like 1, 2, 3, and 4 better than it. You know.
Okay, so I guess I guess I'm on top. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
right.
You got it. Yeah.
But I bet you if I could play through. I guess okay. I almost said all three Bayonettas, but I should say I could play through both Bayonettas.
Yeah.
And I bet you and I would probably have a different opinion on which one is a better Bayonetta.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, I think a lot of people like 2 because it's more colorful,
Sure.
you know? It's more colorful. There's more Nintendo costumes in it, you know? But like they're very much the same. Like they are very similar games.
Sure. Yeah. Well, what is that like? Are they is Bayonetta 2 on everything at this point?
No, Bayonetta 2 is only on Nintendo.
Oh, right, because didn't they help finance that game?
Yeah.
So I can play it on the Nintendo Switch then.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
In fact, you must play it there.
Oh, I can't play it on my Wii U anymore.
Well, I mean, you could, but you don't have a Wii U.
Yeah, I do.
Do you?
Yeah. It's never been hooked up in this apartment, but it's certainly here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you could play it there if that's what you feel like doing.
Yeah, I think that's what
I feel like breaking out that Fisher Price tablet.
Well, I want it to be I want it to be in its purest form.
Yeah.
Its most untouched form.
Yeah.
I'm actually thinking of. I've never played any of the No More Heroes games, and I know that
none of them.
And I know that new one just came out, and I was thinking about because I know that they have the collection available on Switch, and I was thinking about giving that a try. But
yeah, I know they ported those to PC recently, and everyone says those ports are really bad. But
well, then I won't play them there. But like I heard that new.
I hate that, man. Like you get so hyped for a thing,
yeah,
and then like the release sucks. Like I was so ready for that Ninja Gaiden collection, and like now it's just like, why? Why would I even do that?
What's wrong with it?
It includes the lesser versions of those games. You know. Yeah.
Well, I think that you deserve the best, Tom. You know, I think that you deserve nothing but the best, and you deserve to feel happy with your purchases. And the fact that people are trying to take that away from you should be illegal.
I'm just gonna emulate them, you know. Fuck it.
Sure.
What are they gonna do? Come get me.
Yeah.
You know.
Like you know, they can't stop you, right? By the time
honestly, Xbox 360 emulation is pretty decent now. You know.
Yeah. What are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Right? They can't touch you, Tommy. Right? You need to emulate that Afterburner game so I can play it. Because I've never played it.
Okay.
Was that game? Was it Afterburner? Shit, I can't remember.
Climax.
Climax, yeah. I want a climax.
Yeah.
All right, Tom. What are your closing thoughts, Thomas?
Play Devil May Cry 5, and you should probably play Twisted Metal Black as well. It'll put some hair on your chest.
Yeah, it'll make you strong like bull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan, you know what I never noticed?
What's up?
With Twisted Metal until now.
What's up?
And I don't know how. And I don't know if everyone is like this because this is the first time I played Twisted Metal in quite some time. Okay. It's supposed to be like this contest, this destruction derby thing, right? Exactly. Where it's like every man for himself, right? The enemies only attack you.
Why?
They don't attack each other.
How? I'll do you one better. I'll do you one better. That and the entirety of that game should be one fucking level.
Yeah, because they're dead.
Yeah, like what are you doing?
Yeah,
you know. I mean, I guess I could retcon it and say Calypso is bringing them back every time, but then what's the point, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, okay. So historically, I don't know if you know, but like Twisted Metals for a long time released on Halloween,
sure,
but took place on Christmas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And like Twisted Metal 2 World Tour, because it's global. Yeah. You're going everywhere.
Yeah.
How are all these cars going all over the world in one day?
What are they doing? What is that? And like, I guess like the only thing I can imagine, look, because I know Calypso has like magic powers or whatever, so maybe he's got some way to like circumvent this. But like, just like all of the world's governments are just like not gonna respond to this.
Yeah.
Like all the militaries have ceased to exist because in every In every Twisted Metal game, it is shown that society is still intact. So
That's true.
it's not a post-apocalyptic thing. Like society is still intact. So like, what are they doing? I don't know.
Look up the picture of Calypso,
Uh-huh.
I think, in Head On.
Okay.
He looks a lot like the airplane baby guy from I Think You Should Leave.
Okay, hold on. Twisted Metal, Calypso, Head On.
They change Calypso's appearance pretty regularly.
Like
you know?
every time.
Yeah.
In fact, okay. So who was your favorite Calypso?
I don't know. I want to say two because that's what I was growing up with, you know? But like, I like one where his face is all red.
Twisted Metal Black is the worst Calypso.
Yeah.
No, wait. You know what? Actually, nah. No, that's not true. Twisted Metal 2012 is worse Calypso.
No, dude. Small Brawl or whatever it was. Was it
Oh,
Small Brawl, right?
yeah. When
Yeah.
he's just like he's the neighborhood bully.
Yeah, he's basically that kid from Toy Story.
Sid. Oh yeah, I remember this because I remember one afternoon I like went through and like watched a bunch of like Twisted Metal cutscenes because that's how I like
Yeah.
to spend my time, I guess. And
Yeah.
like, and I was like, I watched these and I was like, what is the deal? He looks like Jonah Hex. You know that guy?
Yeah, a little bit. He does a little bit.
Yeah, he just needs a cowboy hat and he'd be Jonah Hex. But Twisted, oh my god, 2012 Calypso is so dumb looking. That guy's dumb. Calypso is a dumb character. That's
I mean,
it.
look, most of the time he's dumb looking,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Also, like, so I know that in most of Twisted Metal games, it is well. I don't know if they'd explain it in one, but in Twisted Metal 2, basically he stole his powers from the devil, and that's how he got his powers. But they don't explain how he got his fucking magic powers in Black, right? So I don't know. He's dumb though. Calypso sucks. I don't want to say Twisted Metal sucks because Twisted Metal is great for the most part.
I like Calypso.
You know,
I feel like he's a really just like underexplored video game character, you know? Like Calypso's cool, man.
okay, so maybe one day this will never happen. I don't imagine this is happening because I don't really know how you would make this game. But maybe one day we'll get a Twisted Metal prequel where we get I don't even know what that game would be, right? Because a prequel means there's no Twisted Metal contest. And so like maybe we get some prequel though that explores the origins of Calypso and how he became to be and just and we can explore the nuances of the asshole that is Calypso.
You know, in Black, I don't know if you remember this because it's probably been a while since you played
I remember
it.
every cutscene from that game.
No, but do you remember Minion's story in Black, specifically in Black?
Yeah, he was just some dude who was like, no, wait, no, that's Black. I don't remember. I remember Minion. Like if you play as Minion, it's just binary in every loading screen.
It's not binary. It's code, right? So you replace every number with the corresponding letter in the alphabet. So 1 is A, 2 is B, so on and so forth, right?
Dumb. Just type the letters.
And basically what you learn is that all of Twisted Metal Black is just going on in Sweet Tooth's head.
God damn it. God damn it. I hate that. I
knew you'd like that.
I hate shit like that. I hate shit like that so much.
Yeah.
So, oh my god, I hate that. Oh, that's annoying. I wish you didn't tell me that. That's so annoying.
And he says things that like references previous games, like I miss the color, like stuff like that.
Oh
you know?
My god, that's so annoying.
Oh yeah, it's really funny.
That actually changes how I feel about that game.
I could see why.
That's really annoying. Holy shit! Like I'm actually I'm actually kind of upset. I'm actually feeling a little bit upset.
It kind of makes me like it makes me laugh because like if you go online and find like people's timeline theories for the Twisted Metal series, you know, when Jaffe has stated many times, he's like, we just come up with it when we make the game.
Yeah.
Like none of them are really tied together or anything, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sucks.
I thought you'd like that.
Can I
all in his head, you see.
Also, here's a little fun fact about Ryan is that game was the first time I heard "Paint It Black" by the Rolling Stones. I had never heard.
Oh, no way!
I had never heard that song before that game.
That's funny.
And yeah, I never, and like even as like here's the funny thing is that I remember playing through the game because they play that song at the end of the game every time you beat the game, and I did not know that was the Rolling Stones. I was like, I don't know who this band is.
You figured because it was called Paint It Black and the game was called Twisted Metal Black that it was a song written for the game.
Yeah.
Like Devil Trigger.
Sure. Like when like the time new metal crooners Cold wrote a song about PsyOps, the Mindgate conspiracy.
Yeah.
Okay.
What Twisted Metal is it that you play as Rob Zombie?
4.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so fucking funny, man.
Yeah. And you know what's funny about that is that if I remember playing through that, right? And I was like, man, I wonder what Rob Zombie's ending is gonna be. It's gonna be really cool. It's just a
music video.
It's just
right?
a music video.
Yeah.
Which is, it's fine. I like the zombie, but it's annoying.
That's very funny.
Yeah, but Twisted Metal is inconsistent, but when it's great, it is great.
We gotta make a video on these PS2 rock artist cameos because
absolutely,
Rob Zombie did it, Fred Durst did it, like a bunch of people
Here's
did it.
Here's the thing is that like Twisted Metal isn't even I guess I can't say that's not really a cameo, never mind. I was gonna say that Twisted Metal is not the only time Rob Zombie has appeared, but like it is like it's like in both his
playable.
Yeah,
right.
Because I was thinking of Nightmare Creatures 2, where his music is in the game. And look, I'm a huge Rob Zombie fan. I really like Rob Zombie, but I want him to stay out of my video games. So that's my closing thought. Keep Rob Zombie out of my video games. Yeah. Anyway, guys, you can find us on all your major podcast platforms. If you want to see the video version of this, it's on YouTube. Just search Save Continue Podcast and you will find it. My name is Ryan Robinson. That's Tom Shelby.
Bye, guys.
See you next time.